Mongolia is not a country. It is a test question. The harshest geography on Earth is here. +50 in the summer, -40 in the winter. The wind blows without resistance because there is nothing to stop it. And in these lands, there is an animal. 2 humps, calm and slow. You look at it and see the wrong animal. Most people see the camel as a weak and skinny animal, a creature that walks through the desert, carries loads, and depends on humans. This impression is so deeply rooted that nobody even asks the question, what was this animal doing before it was domesticated? How was it surviving on its own? The answer will disturb you. The Bactrian camel, also known as Camelus bactrianus, was shaped like clay in the harshest geography of Central Asia. The Gobi Desert, the Altai Mountains, the Mongolian steppe. At the point where these 3 environments meet, nature spent thousands of years building something, and that thing is not a camel. That thing is a survival wizard. This wizard, the Wild Bactrian camel, now survives with only 950 individuals left in the world. It is a completely different animal from its domesticated version, slimmer, faster, tougher. It lives in the most unreachable regions of Mongolia and China as if it owns the land itself. Scientists struggle to track them because these animals move into places where humans never go, like commandos. At this point, pause the video and leave a like below because we have not even started exploring the strangest animal of the week yet. Since you started school, you have believed that camel humps store water. Almost everyone believes that. Wrong. The humps store fat, and that difference changes everything. A Bactrian camel can store up to 36 kilograms of fat in its 2 humps combined. This fat acts as both an energy source and a metabolic water source. When the fat breaks down, water is released as a byproduct. I told you we had not explored the strangest animal yet. How many factories in the world can produce water from fat? But that is not the main point. During the gloomy winters of Mongolia, finding food is almost impossible. Snow covers everything. Most animals either migrate or die. But the Bactrian camel slowly consumes the fat in its humps and survives for months. By the end of winter, the humps are sagging and almost empty. When spring arrives and the grasslands open up again, the camel refills its humps within just a few weeks. What was it supposed to do? Stay on a diet after spring arrived too? Think about this for a second. The same animal has to survive in both +50 and -40 degrees. This is almost biologically impossible because most organisms adapt either to cold or to heat. Adapting to both at the same time requires completely different physiological systems. And those systems usually contradict each other. The Bactrian camel solved that contradiction. In the summer, it can change its body temperature from 34 degrees to 41 degrees. This 7-degree range creates a massive buffer zone. As its body temperature rises, sweating begins, but not constantly like in humans. The camel cools itself only when necessary, minimizing water loss. That is why drinking water just once a day can be enough during the summer. In winter, the exact opposite mechanism activates. The fat layer under the skin and the thick winter coat that grows longer during the cold season insulate the body. There is no fresh water in the Gobi Desert. This is not an exaggeration. It is reality. Most of the region has no drinkable water source. But there is one source of water, salt water. And salt water is undrinkable for almost every mammal. The Bactrian camel drinks salt water. Its kidney structure evolved to process salty water. It can survive by drinking water with twice the salinity of seawater. Human kidneys cannot function even at much lower salt concentrations. If a person stranded at sea drinks salt water, the kidneys pull even more water from the body to remove the salt, making dehydration even worse. The camel does the exact opposite. But there is something else here that reaches another level: dehydration tolerance. A Bactrian camel can lose up to 30% of its body weight as water and still survive. For humans, somewhere between 8 and 10% becomes fatal. A human who lost 30% of their body water would already be dead. And what does the camel do when it finally finds water? It can drink 100 liters in just 10 minutes. That water is not stored or distributed slowly through the body. It enters the circulatory system directly. If another mammal drank that much water that quickly, the blood would become diluted and cardiac arrest would follow. The red blood cells of the Bactrian camel are oval-shaped. In other mammals, they are round. This oval shape prevents the cells from swelling and bursting during extreme water intake. Millions of years of evolution changed even the shape of a single cell. Mongolia is two different worlds, the sand of the Gobi and the rocks of the Altai. For an animal to move across both, it would normally need to completely different foot structures. The Bactrian camel has only one, and that structure works in both environments. A camel's foot is not a hard, bony hoof. It is two toes resting on a wide and soft pad. When it steps on sand, the pad spreads out, increasing surface area so the foot does not sink. When it steps on rock, the pad tightens and provides grip. Engineers call this an adaptive sole, a sole that changes shape depending on the hardness of the ground. The running shoe industry has been trying to achieve this for decades. Even the most advanced running shoes from Nike and Adidas still cannot provide this level of terrain adaptation, but the Bactrian camel is still not finished. During winter, the ground across the Mongolian steppe freezes solid. The camel has to walk on ice. The underside of its foot pads hardens during winter, creating more friction on icy surfaces. In summer, the same pads soften and reduce heat transfer from the burning sand, a sole that changes with the seasons. No shoe can do that. In the Gobi, sandstorms can exceed 100 kilometers per hour. Visibility drops to zero. Sand enters every opening. Most animals are completely defenseless in these conditions. The Bactrian camel has three different eyelids, two normal eyelids, and a semi-transparent third eyelid. During a sandstorm, this third eyelid closes. The camel protects its eyes while still being able to see. Its eyelashes are arranged in two interlocking rows. During a sandstorm, they lock together and create a physical barrier. Its nostrils can close completely through muscle control. During a sandstorm, the camel continues breathing while narrowing its nostrils to minimize the amount of sand entering the body. A gas mask evolved for survival. And then there is hearing. In the Gobi, the Bactrian camel finds water sources through smell and sound. It can detect the scent of moisture coming from underground water sources from kilometers away. Research on wild individuals shows that camels use the position of the sun and the direction of the wind to locate water sources they have never visited before. This navigation ability is learned. Young camels learn it from the herd. In 2019, researchers from the Mongolian Academy of Sciences tracked wild Bactrian camels using GPS. The camels followed regular seasonal migration routes, and these routes were passed down across generations. The same route, the same stops, most likely exactly the same 100 years ago. There is an animal on the Mongolian steppe that passes down culture, and that animal is the camel. When a camel herd crosses the Mongolian steppe, it leaves behind more than footprints. The Bactrian camel is one of the foundation species of the Gobi ecosystem, but nobody talks about this role, because the camel is not a powerful predator. It is a silent engineer. First, vegetation. When grazing, the camel is highly selective. It prefers thorny, tough, salty plants. It eats what other herbivores avoid. This selectiveness prevents certain plant species from overgrowing and protects the fragile vegetation balance of the Gobi. Without the camel, some plant species would dominate others, making the desert even more barren. Second, seed dispersal. The Bactrian camel walks dozens of kilometers every day. Seeds that cannot be digested are transported to different regions through its waste. In some parts of the Gobi, the distribution maps of rare plant species almost perfectly overlap with camel migration routes. An animal is literally greening the desert by walking through it. Third, and least known of all, water wells. Wild Bactrian camels know the locations of salty water sources and visit them regularly. During these visits, they dig into the ground and create natural water pools. These pools become the only water source for dozens of other species. Scientists investigating some of the small water pools in the Gobi have found traces of camel digging beneath them. Without the camel, those pools do not exist. Without those pools, dozens of species in that region do not exist. In the driest parts of Mongolia, the thing making life possible is this 950-kilogram animal. At the beginning of the video, we described Mongolia, plus 50 in the summer, minus 40 in the winter. Wind with no obstacles, no water, no food. We called it a test question. The Bactrian camel has been answering that question for 3 million years. It drinks salt water. It lives in radioactive regions. It walks through sandstorms without closing its eyes. It empties and refills its humps. It passes migration routes from one generation to the next. Humans domesticated this animal, made it carry loads, thought it was weak, thought it was ordinary, but the wild one was never ordinary. Right now, in the most unreachable corners of the Gobi, there are 950 individuals left, unseen, unheard, in -40 degrees, drinking salt water, living on radioactive soil. And they are still here, the test is still going, and they are still passing. Keep notifications on for the next stop in this series, because the next animal is not this quiet.